Hey guys, it is Tristan with Nerdette's NewsStand, and this is something I've been thinking about covering for a while, and I think I oughta just go with it. So, I want to talk about toxic fandoms, and I hate using the term toxic, but in this situation, I think it's the best way to put it. This is everywhere. This isn't just one situation. It's not just comic books, it's not just movies, it's not just Batman. It is everywhere. And unfortunately, it ruins it for just casual fans, for super fans, for people that genuinely like the character but don't read a lot of comic books. And it's always due to a vocal minority. And a lot of these minority or even some of the toxic YouTubers involved ruin a lot for a lot of people. Now, I'm going to talk about this quite in depth, so I'm sorry if this gets long, but the problem all comes down to diversity of thought. Now, we all have basically what is a confirmation bias, right? We all kind of, we go to those YouTubers or we go to those media outlets that say what we want to hear. So we don't really live in anything but an echo chamber. Now that actually is a big problem, simply because within fandoms there should be allowed diversity of thought. Whether you think Batman is okay Asian, I covered Gotham High yesterday. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I personally think it's a little weird, but there's nothing wrong with having your own thoughts and opinions. The problem herein lies when you have these elitist fans that know everything, will, argue everything. They will go so far as to say a creator. Okay, let's talk specifically about the comic book industry because that's what I know more. Let's talk about Thor. Now, Donny Cates is on Thor right now. So let's say he changed something you did not like, but you love Thor. The problem herein lies when people like these elitist fans will see, okay, well, Donny Cates changed Thor's hair long. Okay, I don't like that. I'm going to go on social media, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, mainly Twitter. Twitter is a huge problem. I've talked about this plenty of times. They will dox this person. They will send them death threats. How is that a normal reaction to something you don't like? You have to realize at some point that this IP doesn't belong to you. I think there's a good comic book reference for this. So Rob Liefeld created Deadpool, correct? He created Deadpool, yes. But he does not own Deadpool. So now, if Marvel wants to take Deadpool, and if they want to make him a black female, so what? There is nothing he can do about it. Just because you created that character, you love that character, you've grown up with that character, does not give you right in it. Does not give you, you don't have to put your money into something further, which is completely fine. Well, I've been reading a lot of back issues. I'm actually rereading Hush right now. Fucking great storyline, by the way. Anyways, if you send death threats, if you harass, that is at your own will. That is where it gets toxic. And I actually have a huge problem with that. Have I interacted with, creators or, bigger people in the comic book industry? Yeah. And I've always been seriously respectful because they don't owe me anything except for to be respectful back. Now, I can sit here and tell you I don't like what this person's done to this character. And that's absolutely fine. What I think the biggest problem is when you have these people come out and they're outrage merchants. Now, don't get me wrong, I am very specific on my titles because when it comes to YouTube, you have two ways to attract an audience, your thumbnail and your title. You have to be very careful with what you say or people will just go on to the next video. So my thumbnails, my titles are a little bit more outrageous. But when you come to my video, if you give me a chance, I will set out my argument in stone. I will tell you what I think. I will tell you why I think it. And if it's something informational, I will give you evidence as to why. Now, there are people that will simply go, I'm trying to think of the best references here. Rise of the Skywalker. That was relatively recently. There were people going, these test screenings came out. They had test screenings for the first time ever, right? Test screenings. And this came out. This leak came out. No. If you're going to a random person's thing and they're saying, my source says, make them tell you more about their source. There's only been one time I have ever talked about a source that I could not back up. And that was simply because that person within the comic book industry wished to remain anonymous because of my previous interactions with Comicsgate. So, ask for sources. Ask for information. If you cannot, and you can usually feel people out. If you cannot feel that person as, if you can't tell that they are being sincere, there's usually a reason why. Probably because they're not being sincere. So, another thing I also noticed was, within any fandom, this is any fandom, if you disagree with somebody that has these elitist type attitudes, you are scum. You will never be able to tell them differently. I actually just had an interaction like this the other day where I was talking about Gotham High and I said, Alfred's been gay before. No, he hasn't. Yes, he has. Kurt Busiek made him gay. It was a Elseworld story, but it was a comic book. Like, you can't tell these people. You won't ever be able to tell these people. These vocal minority will always be there and always persist. And unfortunately, they ruin fandoms for a lot of reasons. And it is mostly their attitude. Now, none of that's a big deal. What happens is when all of the normal fans drop out of this type of fandom and the elitists, these vocal minority remain. And we're seeing that with some of the comics issues. We're seeing it, and you cannot disagree with them. There should be no reason why we can't have diversity of thought in every given situation. And when I'm looking at you telling you, I know a lot about this. I've done this for 2 years now. I may not be the most educated in every single thing. And that's why I watch a variety of type of information, why I read a variety of type of information. I'll even read blogs. I like knowing other people's opinions that are different than mine because we're from America. Keep that in mind. We are all entitled to our opinion. When you're not entitled to your opinion is when we have a problem here. And we're kind of seeing that with the big bad bug going on. We're kind of losing our constitutional rights. So I'm not even going to get in that. So let's talk about culture war, okay? Culture war is not real to normies. It's not. To normal fans in a fandom, culture war is irrelevant. So let's look at the shape U. You have the left side and the right side. Right in the middle is where the best has fallen. The people that you can get along with, disagree with. But then you have people on the left, like the LGBTQ shippers, that will tell you are wrong. And then you have the people on the right that are like, I am offended that this person is a brand new character and they're gay. Why? Just don't read it. Like, I'm over it. I don't care if you make a character gay. Doesn't mean I'm going to read it. Doesn't mean I guess I am. I can't say anything. I reviewed Gotham High yesterday. But the fact that, these histories of these characters have been going on so long that to change something is really, really asinine. It has nothing to do with the LGBTQ community. You're actually making them look a lot worse. You're basically fraternizing to these people, basically virtue signaling. That's all you're doing, and we know it. We've seen this game time and time again. So that U-shape, we're back to the U-shape, right? Those people in the middle are going to be able to agree to disagree with you. But it's when you start to climb up either side, you're going to get that toxicity. And it doesn't matter what side you climb upon because it only exists on social media. It only exists in the form of YouTube. It only exists in a way to peddle outrage, to get your clicks, to make you mad. Now, back to confirmation bias. If you are offended by LGBTQ shippers, your confirmation bias will be leading you down that path. And you are going to get in that echo chamber type style. So, we talk about social justice warriors, because I was called one multiple times yesterday. Let's talk about what one really is. A person who expresses or promotes socially progressive views. Go ahead, my channel. I'll wait. When have I ever been progressive? I am the most traditional female you will meet. I am the girl that always wanted to be, as a child, wanted to be a wife and a mother and these things. That was me. I am strictly very traditional. I am, as far as my policies and views, I'm not going to get too much into politics, but I am and have been openly a Trump supporter the entirety of my channel. I have never hidden those things just because I like Trump. I don't agree with everything he does, obviously. Doesn't make me a bad person. Doesn't make me a person you can or cannot disagree with. Now, let's look at the other side, what the other side uses. Well, yeah, that's what the other side uses, and they still do as far as I know. NAZI, right? We all know what this is. It's not just a person that disagrees with you. These two words have been used so much that they've fallen out of touch to what they actually mean. Like, it's both sides use these words as a person who disagrees with them. Oh, you don't like this comic book, you're not backing it, you're SJW. What? That doesn't make any sense. You have to know, you can't change definitions of words. You just can't. It doesn't make any sense. So I think at the end of the day, most of what is causing this problem is social media gatekeepers. So what I mean by gatekeepers, purity testing, stuff like that, is those people that'll be like, okay, so you're a Batman fan, right? Yep. You're a Batman fan. Did you read this story? Oh my God, you don't know anything. How did you not read Convergence? Excuse me, what? Like, I don't have to read everything. You didn't like, Hush, for instance, or Earth One. I loved both of those, by the way. You are retarded. Did you know that because you didn't like Earth One, you're retarded? What? We are allowed at some point to look at other people and be like, you know what? You like, and I've seen it a lot in My Hero Academia. I would say I am newer to anime. I would say I am a casual fan. Let's call it that, a casual fan. But I love the show. So, if you get into a talk with somebody that knows everything, that's read the manga, because I have not, I've only seen the anime, they will absolutely call you every name in the book because you didn't know this or that. And then there was a big problem with fan arts, and I'm not even going to get into that. You know what? If fan arts want to be lewd, that's completely fine. These are characters. These are not people. We are not objectifying people. We are literally talking about characters here. I've said it on my channel so many times, is everything on YouTube, if you fall down that rabbit hole, can be negative. So these people are ill-educated. They don't know for one side or but for one side. So if you can't argue for both, don't argue for one. You need informed opinions, not just an emotional response. Yes, you can look at The Last Jedi and be like, I fucking hated that. Okay, tell me why. Like, I'm not even a Star Wars fan. I'm just using that as an example. Tell me why. Because it was progressive. What about it was progressive? I don't know enough about Star Wars. Educate me. But you don't. You sit there and you're like, it was progressive. Isn't that good enough of an answer? Yes, it is. I'll let it go at that. But I like to know more. When I get into a subject, I want to know everything about it. Whether it's the left or the right, I want to know everything because I feel like, just like I said, if I cannot argue for one side of the situation, I'm not going to argue, or if I can't argue for both, I'm not going to argue for one. I'm just not. If I don't know enough about, more recently, I've been talking about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. If I don't know her side of the story, I'm not going to argue for his. I'm just not, because it's confirmation bias all over again. And YouTube has kind of created this toxic fandom as a business model, which then, again, we're back to an echo chamber. Most of these people are ill-informed. Not all. There is a lot of really good ones. I've said it before. I really enjoy diversity in comics. He knows both sides of the story. So I enjoy listening to his opinions. There are a lot of them. I could name a bunch. Critical Drinker, I've been listening to a lot lately. Oh, there's so many. Tim Pool, I love his views. He's a lot closer to my views, except for he's still a little further left than me. But if you want anyone to take you seriously, whether it's on this platform or a blog or a magazine or at your job. You have to have a little bit of integrity. There has to be some level of integrity there. And if you're simply going, I want Disney to fail because it created Star Wars and it did this. Well, tell me why. Don't just say, I want it to fail, I want it to fail, I want it to fail. Why do you want it to fail? Why would you, if you are this super fan, if you are absolutely the hugest fan of Star Wars, want it to fail? That's what I don't understand. Take the Batman, Matt Reeves' Batman, for example. I've been extremely critical of casting choices, of different things around it, whether it's his suit or it's, the Batmobile. Do I want it to fail? Why, as a fan, would I want something to be bad? Now, there was a while, about a year back, where I talked about Captain Marvel quite a bit. A lot of us did. So there was a lot of people going, this is going to fail. It's not. Everyone knew it wasn't going to fail. It was associated with Marvel and Disney, and right it before Endgame. It was never going to fail. But you have these people that have catalogs of videos. They don't want it to fail. They need it to fail. Or they're going to have egg on their face when they look back and see The Rise of the Skywalker did this fantastic, maybe not as good as it did before, but, it did okay. It did just fine. But they need stuff to fail. They don't just want it to. They need it to confirm back to confirmation bias. So I don't know. I think this is where everybody looks at different things, and there is a toxicity out there, especially in I remember Undertale was really bad too. Steven Universe, some of these get really, really bad. Rick and Morty, like, I'm a casual fan of that. Oh my god, I won't open my fucking mouth about that. They are so bad. Even so, these fandoms, you just, like I said, whether it's, confirmation bias type YouTubers, outrage merchants, or just people simply wanting to talk about it as fans, you have to realize who in the fandom you can associate with without losing your fucking mind. It took me way, way too long to find that out. Anyways, and let me know what you guys think about this. You could, think I'm totally out of my mind, but I actually think there is a lot here that can just show you, it's okay. It's okay to like an LGBTQ character. Who cares? You like that character. What about Midnighter and Apollo? They're fantastic fucking characters. There is good out there in every fandom. I'm not saying that. But it's when you dip into the toxic side. That's all I wanted to make this point. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.